Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope you are doing well. So, today in our science class of class 7, we are going to start a new chapter. Now, first of all, children, tell me, are you feeling cold these days? It's very cold, is not it? You are probably being wearing this kind of clothes. Are you wearing? You are wearing cap, you are wearing shoes, you are also wearing muffler and jackets. Children, tell me, how do you feel when you stay inside your house and light fire in these cold days? It is very cold, is not it? If you stay inside your house and if you light fire, how will you feel? You will feel warm, is not it? And how will you feel when you stay outside in the rain at night? It is in such a weather, if I keep you outside in the rain at night, how will you feel? You will feel very cold, is not it? So children, feeling cold and warm or hot or cold are different situations which you will face at different times, and it also varies from place to place, and also it varies from person to person. So today in our class we are going to discuss chapter 4 of our science textbook, that is heat. Okay children, now first of all of you look at this table. In this table, in the left first column, you can see a set of objects, and in the second and third column there are two columns written cold or cool and warm or hot. First of all, you will have to tick mark the object with how do you feel the object to be. For example, the first one is ice cream. The ice cream is always like to be cold, is not it? We do not like ice cream to be warm. Okay, now you all tell me the second object, what will it be? Spoon in the cup or spoon in the teacup? It will be cold or hot? It will be hot. The reason is that when you keep the spoon in a teacup in which tea is there, the tea is hot, and so the spoon will also become hot. Now the third one, fruit juice. Fruit juice we always like to be cold, is not it? We do not like fruit juice to be warm. Okay? Now handle of a frying pan. If you take a frying pan that is over the gas, and if you touch the gas, or if you touch the frying pan over the gas, or if you touch the handle of a frying pan, how will you feel? You will feel very hot in your hand. Okay, so we have come to know that different objects feel different. So now children, you all know that we must not touch objects that are too hot, and it is very risky, is not it? We must be careful while handling stove and gas, because we must also take very much, or we must be very careful while handling gas and stove, because they are hot in nature, is not it? Now children, tell me, how will you decide which object is more hot and which object is less hot? Can you make an idea? How will you decide which is more hot or which is less hot? Will you touch and see? Will you always touch and see to test whether the object is hot or whether the object is very hot or less hot? It is very risky at many times. If I tell you to go and touch the fire to see how hot it is, you might burn your hand. So it is not at all good to do this. But first of all, let us try a small activity. In this activity, you can take cold water in a vessel and you can take hot water in another vessel. The vessel with cold water you can name it A, and the vessel with hot water you can name it B. Now try to dip your hand in the cold water. And this hot water, if it is very hot, do not dip your hand. Take a little hot water, okay? In the second case also, you try to dip your hand inside the hot water. Now, after this, you take another vessel of water which is a mixture of hot and cold water, and you can name this as C. Now, one thing you may do that you can dip both your hands inside the vessel. These hands were earlier being put inside the hot and cold water. Do you remember? You have put your right hand inside the cold water and your left hand inside the hot water. Now you do one thing. You put both the hand together inside this mixture of hot and cold water. Now, can you tell me how will you feel after putting both the hands inside this mixture of hot and cold water? There will be a little bit confusion in this case. Do you know why? The hand which you have put earlier in cold water, that means your right hand, will now feel this water warm. But the hand which you have earlier put in hot water, that means your left hand, this hand will now feel the water in C to be cold. Isn't it confusing? One hand you are feeling warm, one hand you are feeling cold. What is the reason? The reason is that earlier you kept your right hand. Why this is right? Because you are facing this side. Okay. Earlier what happened, when you were putting this right hand in cold water, you were touching very cold water. When you came back to this mixture of hot and cold water, you will now feel warm. Okay. But in this left hand, what will happen? You have earlier put this hand in hot water. So when you put this hand in mixture of hot and cold water, you will feel this water cold comparatively the water in vessel B. Okay, you can see here the other two vessels, vessel A and B. In this vessel it was cold water, in this vessel it was hot water. Now in this mixture if you put, you will feel this hand to be warm and this hand to be cold. This is the reason, because you have earlier touched a different water. Okay. So it is very confusing. Now this feeling of hot and cold is very confusing if you touch it, and it varies from person to person and also from situation to situation. Okay. So children, we are discussing today about heat. Heat is nothing but a form of energy. Okay. You know that it is measured in unit. And what are the units it is measured? It is measured in unit degree Celsius or degree Fahrenheit. You have earlier heard about this. When you measure heat, you always measure in degree Celsius or degree Fahrenheit. We cannot measure heat always only by touch, as it is not always true. We have seen in our example that it is not possible to measure heat like this, because that by touch what you feel may not be always correct. So what we need? We need an instrument to measure heat. Okay, how will you measure heat now? To measure heat, you will have to measure temperature. Now what is temperature? We measure the hotness of an object by measuring its temperature. When you put your hand or when you measure something hot, how hot it is, you actually measure its temperature. You see its temperature. By looking its temperature, we come to know that how hot or how much heat it is having. If temperature is more, that means it is having more heat. If temperature is less, that means it is having less heat. Now children, you know that it is very cold nowadays. So can you tell me, is the temperature increasing or decreasing? It will be decreasing, because if it is cold, that means the heat is less. So the temperature will be decreasing. Now we are telling temperature. What is temperature? Temperature is the measure of degree of hotness of an object. When you measure how hot an object is, it is the measure of degree of hotness. When you measure how hot an object is, you actually measure the temperature of the object. Children, do you know what is the instrument used to measure temperature? There must be an instrument, is not it? Because every time you cannot go and put your hand inside the hot object or cold object and touch and feel and see, because it is very risky, and moreover the results are also not accurate or correct. So you need an instrument. This instrument is like this. Can you name this instrument? This instrument is used to measure temperature. Yes, it is called thermometer. Okay, so for measuring temperature, we use an instrument called thermometer. Okay, children. Now, what is clinical thermometer? Let us discuss about clinical thermometer. By the word clinical, you must be clear that it is something related to the clinic. That means to doctor, is not it? If it is clinical thermometer, that means it may measure our body temperature. Okay, so it is the thermometer that we use to measure our body temperature. How hot or cold our body is, we use to measure the temperature of our body by using the instrument clinical thermometer. It consists of a long, narrow, uniform glass tube. Okay, children? How the structure looks? It is very long, it is also narrow, and it consists of a glass tube. It has a bulb in one end. The bulb contains mercury. Mercury is nothing but a metal in liquid state. Outside the bulb, a small shining thread of mercury is seen. Now children, to understand this, you will have to look the diagram of a clinical thermometer. So in this picture, you can see the diagram of a clinical thermometer. So you have read that it consists of a long, narrow, uniform glass tube. That means the thermometer is made up of glass, okay? And it is very long. So it is long and it is also narrow. That means it is not broad. You can see that it is very narrow. Is not it? If it would have been broad, then it would have been a very big one. And also it is uniform. That means it is the width it has here is similar here also. It is uniform. It has a bulb in one end. This bulb is not that bulb you light in the holder of your house. It looks like a bulb. This is the bulb of the thermometer. You will see the bulb at one end of the thermometer. Okay. Now why this bulb is present? This bulb actually contains mercury. Now what is mercury? It is a metal. And mercury is the only metal which you can find in liquid state. Rest all metals are always present in solid state. But mercury you can find inside this bulb in liquid state. And outside the bulb you will see a small shining thread of mercury. This black color lining, can you see children? This is nothing but it is a capillary tube. That means it is a tube through which this mercury will come out of this bulb and it will run through this tube. It is nothing like, but it is like a pipe. Okay, you can see that here bulb, near the bulb you can see inside the bulb the mercury is present in black color, and this mercury will come out through this tube or through this pipe. Okay, this tube is called capillary tube. Now children, Do you know how a clinical thermometer works? A clinical thermometer always works by that in order to measure the temperature of your body, you will have to do one thing. You will have to hold the bulb of the thermometer in your mouth or in your underarms. That means this bulb which you have seen in this picture, you will have to put this bulb inside your mouth or inside or under the arms of your body. Okay? The bulb contains mercury which will expand on getting heat, and it will rise up into the capillary tube of the thermometer. So children, here you can see the diagram of a clinical thermometer. This is the bulb of the thermometer, and this bulb contains the mercury. You can see here this capillary tube, and when you will put this bulb inside your mouth or under your arms, then after getting heat from your mouth or your underarm, this mercury will expand because it is a metal. Metal always expands when you give them heat. Okay, that means, as for example, if you take the example of an iron ball, you know, if you heat that iron ball, the iron ball will become big one. The reason is that the metal, that is iron, will expand. Similarly, as mercury is also metal, when mercury touches the heat of your mouth or underarms, it will also expand, and then it will come out of the bulb and move inside this capillary tube. And what will happen? The mercury will run inside this capillary tube up to how much it can run. Okay, after taking out the thermometer from your mouth, you can now observe which scale the mercury has risen up. You can now see that up to how much this mercury is rising up in the thermometer scale. In this diagram, you can see that the mercury is given in black color. It is rising up to 37. Is that it? That means if it is rising up to 37, that means this is the temperature of the person who is measuring it. If it will rise up to 39, that means your body temperature is 39. Okay. If it rises up to 35, that means your body temperature is 35. The scale that we generally use in thermometer is Celsius scale. So I have told you that here you can see that your temperature is 37. But 37 what? There must be a unit. It is Celsius. Okay, 37 degree Celsius. We generally use Celsius scale in thermometer. Fahrenheit scale we rarely use. Okay, and how will we write this symbol? It is written as degree Celsius. Okay, children, how it is written, I am showing you. It is written as degree Celsius. Okay, you have seen how this temperature is written. If my body temperature is 37, it is written as 37 degree Celsius. Okay, now children, you know that a clinical thermometer is used to measure the temperature of a body, human body. And in a clinical thermometer, you will find that the temperature is always shown to be 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius only. Okay? See, here in this diagram, you see the first scale is starting at 35 and the last scale is starting at, or it is ending at 42. No more scale is here. That means you will not find 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is starting from 35 and it is ending at 42. 43 you cannot find here. Do you know what is the reason? Can you think of it? What might be the reason? This we will discuss in the later part of our class. Okay? So here you can see the diagram of a clinical thermometer. It starts from 35 and it ends at 42 degree Celsius. Now, how to read a thermometer? When you are taking a thermometer, that is a clinical thermometer, to measure your body temperature, you must also know how to read this thermometer. Okay? Inside a thermometer, you will find there are bigger divisions. That means here you can see these divisions 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. These are very big divisions. It gives 1 degree Celsius each. Okay, from 35 to 36, 36 to 37, 37 to 38, 38 to 39. You can see that it differs by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, that means 36 minus 35 is equal to 1 degree. 37 minus 36 degrees Celsius is equal to 1 degree Celsius. Now inside this thermometer, inside these big scales, you can also find some small divisions. See, these small divisions, can you see? Between 36 and 37 also you can see small. Between 37 38 also you can see small divisions. Okay. Now count this number of divisions between 35 and 36. It is similar like a measuring scale which you use to draw diagrams in geometry in mathematics. Now children, if we count how many small divisions are there, you will find that there are 10 small divisions between 35 and 36. Between 36 and 37 also there are 10 small divisions. If there are 10 small divisions in a thermometer, then each one division will give you 0.1 degree Celsius. That means here after 35, if you take 1, then you will get 35.1 degree Celsius. If you go to the second house, you will get 35.2 degree Celsius. Okay. If you go to the fifth house, then you will get 35.5 degrees Celsius. Is it clear? Now, if the small divisions are only 5, here in this diagram you can see that the small divisions are 10. But some thermometers also have only 5 divisions. If there are 5 divisions, then what will happen? One division will give 0.2 degrees Celsius. Because only 5 are there. So, in one division only you will get 0.2 degrees Celsius. But if there are 10 divisions like this, small divisions, then in one small division you will get 0.1 degrees Celsius. Okay children? Now, while using a thermometer or clinical thermometer, you must always take some precautions. Without taking precautions, you must never use any instrument. So the thermometer should always be washed before and after use. You must never use a thermometer without washing, because when you put it inside your mouth, the germs go and touch that bulb. And if you use this thermometer to measure the temperature of a other person, then your germs will go to that person. Not only other person, if you use this thermometer alone, then also you must wash. The reason is that if today germs are getting stuck in the bulb of the thermometer, if you again use that same thermometer tomorrow without washing, the same germs will again go back to your mouth. So you must always wash. And you must always wash this clinical thermometer in an antiseptic solution. Antiseptic solution means a solution by which you don't get sepsis. Okay, sepsis is a disease which generally occurs if bacteria goes inside. You have heard about this? Can you name me the example of an antiseptic solution? Yes, you have heard about Dettol, is not it? This Dettol is an antiseptic solution. So you can use Dettol for this purpose also. Okay children? Now in our second point, you can see that you must always ensure the use of mercury level below 35 degrees Celsius. Before, when you take the thermometer, you must always ensure that the mercury must not be above this 35 before you take the temperature of your body. It must be below this 35. That means this black color portion, the mercury must not rise up, or it must not touch 35 before measuring. It must always lie below. If it is high up here somewhere, that means this thermometer is little bit bad. So if you measure with this thermometer, your results will come wrong. Now read the thermometer keeping the level of mercury along the line of sight. When you read the reading, when you take the reading of how much the mercury has risen, you must always look from the front. Okay, if you can see here that mercury has risen up to 37, you must not keep your eyes on this side or this side of the screen and you must see. No, you must come here straight up to here and you must see it straight. If you see from this side, you will see the results different. Now what you will have to do next? You must handle the thermometer with care. We must always handle the thermometer with care. If it hits some hard object, it can break. Yes, because it is made up of glass. If you hit this thermometer in hard object, it will break down. Don't hold the thermometer by the bulb while reading. You must never touch this bulb while reading the thermometer, because if you touch this bulb, your hand has some heat, is not it? This heat will touch, or it will go inside the mercury, and by getting the heat, this mercury will simply rise up in the scale and it will give you a wrong answer, because your hands are generally warm. So you must take the temperature inside your mouth. Okay. Now children, we must always remember some points when we use a clinical thermometer. The mercury must always be down when you measure body temperature. That means it must not rise above 35 degrees Celsius. And if the mercury is rising high, you give a jerk till the mercury comes down. That means you must shake the thermometer and bring the mercury down to below 35 degrees Celsius. Now you put the bulb of the thermometer under your tongue for 1 minute. You must put the bulb of the thermometer under your tongue. For how much time you must put it? For 1 minute. Then you must record the body temperature. Okay, and you must record it immediately. You must not be late. Always keep the clinical thermometer away from sun and flame. You must not keep the clinical thermometer near the sun or near any flame. It may break. Okay. Do not use a clinical thermometer to measure temperature of other objects except human body. This clinical thermometer has only one use. That means you must measure the temperature of a human body. You must not go and measure the temperature of milk, the temperature of dal that you are cooking. So if you do this, the thermometer will break. Now children, tell me, is the body temperature of every person same? Is your body temperature similar to that of your father's body temperature or your mother's body temperature? No. Okay? Because the normal body temperature of a person is 37 degrees Celsius, but everybody's temperature may not be exactly 37 degrees Celsius. Generally, many people have temperature 37 degrees Celsius, but everybody may not have. Some may also have slightly higher than 37 degrees Celsius and some may also have slightly lower than 37 degrees Celsius. Okay? And human body temperature does not go below 35 degrees Celsius. It will never go below 35 degrees Celsius. It will always remain from 35 degrees Celsius only. And human body temperature also do not go above 42 degrees Celsius. You will also not find more temperature in human body than 42 degrees Celsius, and you will also not find less temperature in human body than 35 degrees Celsius. That means the temperature ranges from 35 to 42 degrees Celsius. Children, This is the reason why clinical thermometer also temperature you can see between 35 to 42 degrees Celsius only. See this diagram? Wait, I am showing you, okay? If you see this diagram, you will see that it is starting from 35 degrees Celsius and it is ending here at 42 degrees Celsius. You will not see any scale below 35 and any scale above 42 because human body temperature always fluctuates between these range only. You will not find any temperature coming down below 35 or going above 42. Okay, so thermometer is also built in that same way that there is no other scales found there, okay, below 35 and above 42 degrees Celsius. Now children, tell me, is there any more type of thermometer other than clinical thermometer? Do you know? We have come to know that clinical thermometer is used to measure the temperature of a human body and it ranges from 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. Children, now you tell me, is there any more type of thermometer other than clinical thermometer? Yes, it will have to be, is not it? Because clinical thermometer you can use only for measuring human body temperature. How will you measure the weather temperature? Or how will you measure the temperature of other things? For this, there are also some kind of instrument and we shall discuss it in our next class. Okay, children? So I hope you have understood your lesson and we will be discussing more about this lesson, that is chapter 4 heat, in our next class. In our next class we will be studying about, is there any more type of thermometer other than clinical thermometer. Okay, so all of you take care. Thank you.